The Geneva Motor Show is one of the world's top automotive trade fairs. Every year in spring, exhibitors present the latest models of around 700 makes. Usually, the greater the horsepower, the bigger the crowd. Audi is showing off its new RS6, whose V8 engine produces a whopping 560 horsepower. Audi's Rupert Stadler says Geneva is always their European spring venue. A nice, compact little fair where the exhibitors only show what they really want to. Audi has different versions of its models on show. Its A3, for example, is a slick sports car. It's also Germany's first high-volume production plug-in hybrid. Or it can run on environmentally friendly natural gas. Almost all the big car makers are going the same route. Chevrolet has placed its super sports car, a convertible Corvette Stingray, center stage, flanked by more affordable workhorses, like the new Chevrolet Captiva. And the mini SUV Trax. Mercedes has designed its AMG series for an exclusive clientele, AMG being Mercedes-Benz high-performance brand. Thomas Weber says Mercedes is very proud of the highly efficient 360 horsepower A45 AMG. It delivers 180 horsepower per liter of displacement.
180 PS pro Liter Hubraum.
The A45 AMG is the sportiest A-Class Mercedes ever. Standard all-wheel drive puts the horsepower to the road. Nissan is presenting its completely new Note in Geneva, hoping it'll ring up high-volume sales for the Japanese car maker. Nissan is following a trend among Asian car makers. Nissan's Vincent Weinen says his company builds cars in Europe for Europe. They design and develop the cars here because Europeans have different tastes than Japanese customers. An intensive dialogue with European car buyers led to over 100 changes to the top high-volume electric car, the Nissan Leaf. Porsche is using the Geneva Motor Show as one occasion of many to celebrate the 50th anniversary of its famous 911 sports car. It's also a debut for the high-performance 911 GT3 Cup racing car with its impressive 460 horsepower. Porsche's Wolfgang Hatt says 2,500 to 3,000 are to be produced over the next 2 years, and then they'll see if there's a demand for more. Porsche will be selling quite a few more of its new Cayman. This generation is lower and longer, lighter and faster, more powerful and efficient. It's a sports car designed more for city driving. Seat is also debuting its new Leon SC in Geneva. The Sport Coupe will be the Spanish car maker's first three-door hatchback to hit the streets. The SC's creased hatch is flatter than the five-door versions, but with 380 liters of volume, its cargo space is just as large. Yet another world premiere at the Geneva Motor Show is Škoda's new Octavia station wagon, promising some of the roomiest spaces in the segment. Security and comfort systems complement a highly efficient engine. The thrifty turbocharged direct injection diesel uses just 3.4 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers by EU norms. Škoda's Hermann Schmidt says the Octavia station wagons are growing ever more important to the car maker as the classic sedan market shrinks. 90% of sales in Germany are now station wagons, a good indicator of its importance. Toyota welcomes the Touring Sports to its Auris range. The trunk has a capacity of 530 liters, but folding away the seats raises that figure to 1,660, while giving you a cargo bay length of over 2 meters. The Auris Touring Sports is also the first wagon in its segment available as a pure hybrid model. CO2 emissions are just 85 grams per 1 kilometer. Another model with top green credentials is the iRoad. The electric three-wheeler combines the advantages of a car with the agility of a bike. Toyota also has the Open concept, which envisions what its GT86 might look like as a convertible. Lexus presents its new IS range. Lexus is to become the world's first car manufacturer to feature a hybrid version in every model range. The IS300H has 223 horsepower and consumes 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. Among the other highlights at the Lexus stand is the spacious and sporty LFLC, standing for Lexus Future Luxury Coupe. Occupants are enveloped in glass for maximum light. As for the exterior, the LFLC showcases the maker's new Opel blue finish. Volvo returns to Geneva with no less than 6 ranges given a fresh makeover. There's the new look family comprising the V60, S60, and V60 plug-in hybrid. The radiator has been stretched out, and the horizontal lines have been given extra emphasis. And at the back, the new exhaust pipes make their mark. Volvo models have a reputation for their superb levels of safety. Now the Swedes are making the Volvo City Safety System a standard feature in all models. Volvo's Peter Mountain says as well as detecting pedestrians and braking in dangerous situations, it now detects cyclists too. They're often involved in accidents, he notes. The system computes the image recorded and automatically applies the brakes, preventing critical accidents. Among the world premieres, the new Golf 7 variant. Its looks mirror the styling of the regular hatchback. The Golf 7 station wagon scores high on the flexibility front. Its cargo capacity is 605 liters, 100 more than its predecessor. Folding down the rear seats increases that figure to 1,620 liters. The EcoMotion is another Volkswagen to hit the headlines in Geneva. The electric concept van measures 4.5 meters long and boasts up to 4.6 cubic meters of cargo space and a payload of 800 kilograms. The concept vehicle has a partitioned body with a lower section containing an underfloor drive unit, battery and gearbox, and an upper superstructure intended for delivery tasks.
Morgen.
Morgen.
Our car reviewer Mattes gets himself fueled up for today's show with a morning coffee. In his case, a Mokka.
Das ist aber nett, danke schön. Moment mal.
But instead of a coffee, he almost swallows a car key.
Das ist ein Autoschlüssel.
His Mokka is parked outside.
Ach so. Na gut, dann tschüss.
Mattes is somewhat surprised to be shown the door after ordering a Mokka. Outside is an Opel Mokka. The marketing men do come up with some strange names. The Mokka is a new subcompact SUV from Opel. We put the new crossover through its paces. The 96 kilowatts of power give the turbo diesel plenty of punch, says Mattes. At 2,000 revs per minute, you already notice the engine getting going. That said, the computer is showing an average fuel consumption of 7 liters for 100 kilometers. The manufacturer claims a figure of 4.9 liters. Top speed is 184 kilometers per hour, and the Mokka makes the dash to 100 in 10 seconds. The engine has a peak torque of 300 Newton meters. The look is something of an acquired taste. Seen from the front, it makes a chunky but funky impression. There's a substantial front skirt under the headlamps. It's made of plastic, of course. But take a walk all the way around and you'll see a different kind of automobile. The rail along the roof adds a bit of style. Seen from the sides, however, the body seems rather scrunched up. Checking out the rear, the Mokka looks a little on the plump side. This is not a car that exudes elegance. This model is more about respectability and sobriety. Opel has been hyping the Mokka's technical innovations, and it does have plenty of nice extras. There's the front camera system with traffic sign recognition, collision alert, and lane departure warning. Plus adaptive forward lighting and a heated steering wheel and seats. The interior certainly looks inviting. The steering wheel and dashboard boast nice workmanship, and the instruments are conveniently arranged. The upholstery is a mix of leather and plastic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The array of buttons and knobs on the center console, though, are perhaps too much of a good thing. The seats are decent enough, functional, and comfortable. The suspension is sweet and has no problem swallowing up uneven surfaces. Mattes likes the short shifting travel. Fifth gear is a little choppy, but only minimally. It's never a real bother. And if you're not a stick-shift fan, you can get an automatic version. In Germany, the Mokka has an entry price of 18,990 euros. To get your hands on the model we tested, you have to shell out over 27,000. Before Mattes returns the Mokka, he sneaks a peek at the cargo area with its 365 liters of space. There is a tasty bonus for our reviewer, a box of bread rolls.
Na dann, guten Appetit.
Volkswagen presents what it's calling the world's most fuel-efficient production car. The XL1 uses just 0.9 liters of diesel on 100 kilometers. In addition, the plug-in hybrid system carries the two-seater up to 50 kilometers farther on battery power alone, with zero local emissions. The XL1 represents more than a decade of work by engineers at VW headquarters. Supervisory Board Chairman Ferdinand Piëch had the vision of a everyday car that would be fully functional, but travel 100 kilometers on 1 liter of fuel. This vehicle can be driven by anybody, just like every Volkswagen. The XL1 will have an initial production run of only 50 units. Its engine concept is set to be adopted for future Up and Golf models. Nothing beats a cool drink, says our car tester Emmanuel, though it'd be easier to chill them in the fridge. So what do these 3 cans have to do with this car? That's simple, he says. 3 cylinders, 1 liter of displacement. This Ford Focus has an engine like this. Ford calls it EcoBoost. There are 2 versions of this engine. We're testing the 74 kilowatt EcoBoost model with a 5-speed transmission. Ford says average fuel consumption is 4.7 liters per 100 kilometers, but that's only attainable if drivers really rein it in. It's not for speed demons. The steering wheel gives good grip, and the instruments are easy to read. The center console houses the display for the sat-nav and radio, but the push buttons at the bottom are hard to reach. Emmanuel also feels there are too many switches on the radio. He says he really has to search hard to find what he's looking for. The start-stop system, which comes as standard, makes the car very fuel efficient. And Ford has also come up with a unique engineering solution for the engine. For a 3-cylinder, it runs very smoothly. Ford engineers weighted the flywheel and pulley to offset the 3-cylinder's natural imbalance. So far, our test car has impressed us, and the price is reasonable too. In the top trim level, the titanium, the Focus sells for just under 22,000 euros in Germany. It comes with hill start assist, a leather steering wheel, and sport seats. The Focus's suspension is quite stiff, so it's suited to sporty driving, but Emmanuel says it's still comfortable on long trips on the Autobahn. But the sport seats do take some getting used to. Our tester finds the seats aren't the comfiest and have a strange feel to them. They're not too hard, he says, but somehow constricting. He imagines that this could be unpleasant on long-haul trips.
Also auf längeren Strecken könnte ich mir vorstellen, dass das durchaus unangenehm sein kann.
As far as looks go, the 2013 model is very similar to its predecessor. It features curving contours from tip to tail. At the front, the air intakes have a triangular shape. From 3 sides to 3 cylinders, the EcoBoost engine's sound has won us over, as has its high revving power. At engine speeds in excess of 4,000 RPM, you get the feeling there's a V8 throbbing under the hood. All in all, Emmanuel says, the 1-liter Focus knows how to please. It zips along nicely in city traffic and on country roads, though on the highway it drags a bit when it hits 150 kilometers an hour. But fuel consumption is, he says, more than respectable, making the Focus a sound choice. Honda currently sells over 3 million cars a year around the world. But it was this nifty little sports car that turned the Japanese automaker into a global player, the Honda S800. It's now a modern classic. This S800 comes from Volkswagen Sighthouse Car Museum in Wolfsburg. In the 1960s, Japanese car makers faced massive prejudices in Europe, explains our car tester Christoph. Oriental cars were dismissed as too conservative, technically outdated, and of poor quality. But when the first Japanese car was imported to Germany in 1967, the Honda S800, many people were astonished, and for good reason. It could run at 9,000 revs a minute. Quite impressive back in 1967. The engine was the product of Honda's experience in motorbike manufacturing. There's a story about German researchers in the 1960s revving the motor to over 12,000 RPM. The subsequent bang wrecked the test bed, but the engine survived unscathed. The Honda S800 could match Formula One cars of that era in terms of power per cc. It delivered an incredible 67 horsepower from a 0.8-liter displacement. That's like a modern small car with a 1.6-liter capacity, generating 135 horsepower, and without the benefit of turbocharging or supercharging. No wonder Honda had the best engine speeds in Formula One for many years. The S800 could accelerate to 160 kilometers per hour, far faster than comparable European contemporaries from Fiat, Triumph, or MG. And the Honda was also in its own league on the sound front. Christoph finds the sound incredible. A modern classic meets the Middle Ages. Monteriggioni is an old fortress in Tuscany. A gorgeous backdrop for a gorgeous car. The Honda S800 is a cool customer, enthuses Christoph, a pint-sized classic sports car. But the real highlight for him is under the hood. A 4-cylinder engine with a 0.8-liter displacement, 2 overhead camshafts, and 4 carburetors. Making a racing thoroughbred fit for regular roads was quite a feat in the 60s. Porsche is said to have ordered an S800 to study it, especially the engine.
S800 bestellt, ihn dann zu sezieren, gerade den Motor aus Studienzwecken, als wenn das kein Ritterschlag ist.
The elegant contours, especially in the case of the convertible version, are reminiscent of classic British roadsters. The body rests on a solid box frame, which pushes the curb weight up to a hefty 782 kilograms. The joystick gear shifter makes driving fun, as do the wide range of instruments, and the engine with its hemispherical combustion chambers and roller-bearing crankshaft. What has not stood the test of time is the S800 suspension. It's far too hard, and the Dunlop disc brakes on the front axle respond well when you stomp on the pedal. but there's little subtle control. Christoph found really fun to drive, but you do need to have a thick skin, he warns. He still hasn't worked out where to put his feet. Earlier on, he had to get out of the car because of a cramp in his calf. The pedals are way too close together, and his leg rubs on the handbrake and on the steering wheel.
Ein Vorurteil wird definitiv bestätigt. Japaner sind kleiner als wir Europäer.
The S800 wasn't really suited to the international market, and its sales outside Japan remained modest. But the boost the little speedster gave to the image of Honda and Japanese car making in general was priceless. Only 11,000 were built. In commercial terms, it was an absolute flop. But as the first Japanese model officially imported to Germany, Christoph says it's a true milestone in automotive history. Even by today's standards, taking a spin in the Honda S800 is a truly special experience. No other car can coax so much power and fun out of a 0.8-liter engine.